Welcome back to episode 2 of the Student Architect Revit template Slowrun. Slowrun is a term that I borrowed from Gotham Chess. I've been watching so many of his videos lately, and I just love the idea of the slow run. He's a chess YouTuber, if you're not familiar with him, but he does chess slow runs where everybody's doing speed runs to see how fast they can move up the elo ladder and things like that. But then he's like, no, we're gonna do a slow run. And I love that idea. That is very much my pace of how I move through life is slow. I'm a slow person in so many ways. So I'm borrowing his term, and I hope that that's okay. And I hope that this is a pacing that you like as well. Also, this is my first time in so long recording at night, and if only you knew how long it took me to set up this whole lighting situation. Yeah, it's embarrassing. Okay. Well, let's hop into it. Also, if you're new here, I'm Chelsea from The Student Architect, and I make tons of resources for architects and architecture students, which you can find over at thestudentarchitect.com. So now let's get moving with this Revit template that we are slowly producing. Let's do this. All right, so if you were not here for episode 1, feel free to go back and watch that. We spent a lot of time in the project browser, and I'm creating a Revit project template for residential projects. That is the bulk of the work that I do, and I feel like none of my templates are exactly what I want them to be, so I'm trying to build the optimal template that will hopefully be more of a catch-all for more of my projects. So let's see where we left off. I like this. I think we had just finished setting up the sheets in a way that we like. And I know there's a lot of back and forth about how to organize them. I think I like this. That seems good to me. I'm noticing I have existing floor plans. I remember I did those. I also typically need working floor plans as well, especially for existing projects to have. So I have, let's just start creating them. So I'm going to just duplicate this. It's the fastest way. And we're going to call this working. Working backgrounds. So the working backgrounds plan is going to be one that has either an image behind it or a CAD file or something like that I'm going to be drawing over. Let's create a new type. We'll call this working. And we don't need a template applied to that, so we'll just say none. Because honestly, I don't really want a template. I want to be able to toggle wireframe and change the scale and do all kinds of things that you can't really do when there's a template applied. That's the point of the template, is that you can't just like on the fly make all of these changes. So we'll do one for backgrounds. We'll do one for dimensions. And I think that's good enough. Another thing that I like about these is I don't crop these views. All of these views I'll be putting section. Where's our regular? There they are. All of these views I'll be putting regular section boxes around and having them cropped so that they're all the same size. But I don't want that for my working drawings. I just want it to be like a whiteboard, an endless whiteboard basically. So yeah, I think I just would need that for first and second floors. Maybe the basement too. Maybe it's helpful just to have that. We don't even have an existing basement plan, so we'll have to create that too. All right, second floor existing. Working. I took off the existing label. Do we need that? Maybe we'll shorten it to like exist. Yeah. Move you down to working. Because I might eventually, sometimes it's helpful to have working drawings as well for proposed plans. It definitely is. Some of my drawings can get very messy with so many notes to myself and reference planes and scope boxes. I think I said section boxes earlier. I meant to say scope boxes to crop the views. What are we doing? I just put working. We need that to say working backgrounds. Then we'll do duplicate. This one will be dimensions. I'm just wondering if everything needs to be existing, working, dimensions, like writing out all of the words, or does it make sense to just say dims? But then how do we simplify the word background? That's weird. Image, no, because sometimes there's a CAD file. I don't know. I guess this is fine for me for now. I don't really need a roof working plan. I don't think. Maybe I'll just do one that's just like a generic working. I'll move you down. And then what did we need? Basement. Duplicate. This is existing. And we know just because we say it's existing doesn't mean that it's going to magically hop up to the existing group. We have to change the phasing. So new construction to existing. Perfect. Let's duplicate again. Call this working backgrounds. Rounda. And then existing dims. Select both of those, put them in working. And then again, I just love the like little folder grouping setup. If we don't, sorry, the ambulance just scared me. I don't know if you can hear that. If we don't need those working drawings anymore, we just collapse them because there are kind of a lot of drawings in here, but they're necessary for my personal workflow. And that 5 minutes, maybe, however long that took to set up, that's 5 minutes I'm saving on every future project. So it's worth it. Are we missing anything? We could put in a basement ceiling plan. I actually have done basement ceiling plans. Just because I have done them doesn't mean that they need to be in the template. Nah. Never mind. I'm not gonna do it. Okay. We don't really need existing framing or existing electrical. I'm gonna rename these from electrical plan to just electrical. I know we renamed them the last time, but that was before we figured out why it wasn't grouping them under floor plans. What am I doing here? Doing this. We're gonna rename. Remember that whole thing where we accidentally put in the wrong one? But now we know how to delete view types. Okay. Yup. That's so much better. And then we'll do the same for framing. Ah, so much better. I must sound so dramatic. All these little tweaks have like such a profound impact like on my experience, but it must seem so silly. Like, I don't know. Okay. I'm liking this. Where to next? Let's make sure none of these have a template, a view template. Very good. None of these. Very good. Okay, site plan. We actually do need an existing site plan. We'll just duplicate. Just name it here. Existing. Oh, we need demo drawings. I wish we could just like select all of these and duplicate, but we can't. Oh well. All right. We're going to duplicate. Okay. So sometimes on my sheets, I will write for the view name, proposed first floor plan. And then sometimes I will write first floor plan dashed proposed. And same with demolition. So now that we know that we can organize our views this way in order, using that very cool setting we found in the last video, let's see how that looks, because I wonder if having proposed before the name would kind of mess up my ability to find that view really easily. So let's see. What was I saying? Demolition. Basement. Plan. Why don't these have floor at the end of them? I mean, plan at the end of them. Did these? Oh no. Well, that's okay. These won't be on sheets. But these should. Okay, so do we like demolition basement plan? Another thing you might not know is that the view name that you have in the project browser can be different from the title that you have on the sheet. Let's see. Yeah, so we have plans on here. So if you would just click on the view and then click here and then type in proposed, it's going to change. It's asking that again. We're going to say no. It's going to change how that looks up here, first floor dash proposed. However, if you want it to read differently on the project browser and on the sheet, there is a title on sheet option here where we could say proposed first floor plan. And here it still says first floor dash proposed. Proposed first floor plan. first floor plan proposed. These are such silly things, but they're not at the same time. Because I just want to like make sure that I'm sure about whatever I choose so that I don't ever have to think about it again. So that's the whole point of the slow run, is taking the time now, going through it slowly and making really intentional choices, and then set it and forget it. Never have to think about it again. We do have to be careful about the title on sheets situation, especially with like elevation views, because sometimes we can get a little lazy. And let's say like Project North is different than True North. So what if things are reversed? Like the front of the house is towards the north side, and we model that with like the front of the house down, which is facing south. This view is south. So if we just stick with that and change the, I don't know, it would just get very confusing if you have like south in some places and then north in other places, or if you just kind of forget. I don't know, just something to keep in mind. Propose first floor plan. First floor plan proposed. I kind of think I like this better. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah. So this is kind of helpful. This is kind of helpful when there's demolition and proposed on the same sheet, which is what I'm intending to do. However, if it's a project that's new construction and doesn't have demolition, it would, if they fit both on the same sheet, I would put first and second floor, maybe basement and first floor. So it's almost like when it's two different phases on the same sheet, it makes sense to say demo and propose first. But when it's two different floors on the same sheet, it makes sense to say the floor first. And I've been kind of wrestling with the idea of, do I really need an existing conditions, or not an existing conditions, but an existing template that's separate from a new construction template? Maybe. Or do we design this in a way where it doesn't matter, and then we don't have to keep up with two separate templates? Ideally, we would create it in a way that we don't have to worry about having two separate templates. So how can we design this in a way that helps us avoid that? And this isn't really like the biggest deal. I think it's more of just a, do we like the dash kind of setup? Or do we want it to just be like, this feels more right for some reason. I don't know why, maybe it's more familiar, but just, I'm going with my splenic hip there. Shout out if you're interested in human design. and know what I'm talking about when I say splenic hit. If you're not into human design or just don't know what that's about, it's basically like where you make your decisions from. For me, I'm a splenic projector. And so the way that I'm supposed to make decisions is I'll have like an internal, like split second intuition of knowing like this is a yes or this is a no. This is the yes. Okay, we figured it out. That's great. Okay, so then we're going to change these. That only took 20 minutes to figure it out. No big deal. But slow run, right? That's what we all signed up for. Slow, intentional progress. Okay, so I don't like the idea of having title on sheet be different unless they need to be. Where this option makes sense and is really helpful is, say you have personally, I don't like to do things this way, but some people like to just say, for interior elevations, just say interior elevation or bathroom 2 interior elevation, and that will be the same name for every single elevation on the sheet or for that room. And that's the only way that you can have a view name be the same as another one. You can't, if I tried to say, we're going to copy this. If I try to have that same exact name for this other view in the project browser, it's going to say you can't do that. You need a unique name. So if you want to have duplicate names for views, that's a good way to do it, is using the title on sheet. Yes. Okay. So we figured it out. Basement plan dash proposed. Nope, we don't want to do that. Second floor plan proposed. Why am I not copying the word proposed or plan proposed? I don't know. But I should. Now let's make a new group for demolition. And I think we'll see. We will see if we need a separate demolition template or not. Because some of those settings, we might be able to just cover all of that in phasing settings. Okay, so let's do that for all of these. Duplicate. And just because I set it to a demolition group does not mean that it is set up for a demolition view. So after I do all of this, we'll go through and update the phasing filters. Duplicate. And we also need these for the elevations. Duplicate. Okay. Just going to control click to select multiple. And now control click again. We could set them to the architectural template. Face filter, we're gonna do, I don't know if this is what we want it to be, but I'm gonna click on that for now. And we're gonna say, we're gonna say existing. So what we really want is show So for new, I know I want show previous and new. For demo, I want previous and demo. So let's MP, hello, MP on the keyboard for manage phase. This is good. I don't ever really need more than these two phases, usually ever. It's very rare that I have another phase, so that's fine. Show complete. That's, yep. Show demolition. Okay, so new is not displayed. Existing is overridden. Okay, so we're gonna rename this to show existing and demo, just so we're not confused. Okay. Show new and existing. Actually, previous and demo. Yeah, previous and new. This is these are the names of these phases that I created or adopted. I'm so used to this kind of naming that's, yeah, that's where I want to go with this. I think we can just say demo. Show only current phase. That's fine. So previous and new, that looks right. So let's go into graphic overrides. For demolition, I like to have color in my sets. I know you can't always print color, but I don't think there's anything wrong with, I've never had an issue with having color in printing black and white. So demolition I like to have as red. And I also, for cut patterns and surface patterns, I like to also show those as red too. So we're not going to override the pattern itself. And we're not going to do like a solid background or anything. It would just be, so if it's like a roof and we have like a shingled roof or something, the lines for the shingled roof would be red. And we'll do that for cuts too. We're going to make those visible. Okay. Temporary? I honestly don't even know what temporary is. I've never used this, so I'm not going to pay attention to that. New projection lines are 4. I guess that's fine. That seems kind of dark and kind of thick. What is this? Yeah, that's like not a lot of distinction between what's cut and what's not. Maybe we make that 3 or 2. Patterns. I don't like that. I think we're going to clear overrides there. Yeah. Okay. Yep, we want them to be visible, but yeah, we don't want to override anything, I think. Because I think if we have anything that's cut will be solid, especially solid black like they had it. because the lines are also black, you're not going to be able to see layers of walls or roofs or anything like that. So yeah, let's stick with these settings for now. Nice. And before I forget, let's make existing. Do we have existing? No, we didn't have anything existing. We got to do existing and demo. We're going to be smarter about this time. All right, that's the last existing. Why? There we go. Let's change the phase to existing and change. Is there something else? Yeah, I don't think we need a template for existing, but we will for demo. All right, so let's do duplicate, demolition. Wait, I forgot to duplicate. Oh no! Undo. Control Z. Duplicate. I was wondering why it was going so fast. Why am I rushing? This is literally called a slow run. Yeah, we will save. Thank you, Revit. Okay. One more, we can do it. All right. Control click. And what are we doing? We're going to move these to. Oh, okay. So we need to create a new demolition. Okay. These will have a template. And again, we'll have to decide later if we need a separate one for demolition. But I'm hoping we can just have one for both. Oh my goodness, they don't say elevation. No, we gotta add that too. Like, why? Why didn't they do that? Why are they creating work for us? Okay, we want that space at the front. Copy. All right, then we'll do that for these. It's fine. It's fine. I was gonna say it's annoying, but you know what? What am I trying to rush for? Where am I going? Okay, so after this, let's make sure. So for existing phase filter, let's just do show complete. Oh, I'm actually remembering. Let's go back to manage phasing and P on the keyboard. For existing, I want to make sure that the line color is that light enough? Is that too light? I think that's okay. If it's too light, we can always change it. But the reason that I like to do existing and new or previous and new for proposed drawings is because it will differentiate between what is existing and what's new. And what's existing will be a lighter gray tone, and what's new will be much darker. And frequently post-shade. I like to add a post-shade. Nothing crazy, just a little bit. Plan. Why do these, none of these have plan? Plan. I'm not copying the plan for this one because it takes just as long to kind of figure out where the cursor needs to go and all that, so. Okay, maybe I should have plan. Nope. And if you missed it in my last video, the reason that I don't say don't show me this again is because sometimes it's a good reminder in case you do change the name of something, like a second floor to mezzanine or loft or something like that. It's just a nice reminder to be like, oh, I need to change the level as well. Okay, so we've got demo elevations. Proposed elevations. Do we need to say proposed? Probably should say proposed. Ceiling plans, I think that's fine to have just those two. Site plan, do we have a demo? No. Let's do a demo plan. And for this, I think it's okay. I lied. I think. Yeah, I think I'm going to keep the site plans together, even though one is going to be proposed and one demo. Because there's only two of them, and I really don't like how Revit puts them between the first and second floor plan. Let's see what associated level these are. Does it tell us? Associated level is the first floor? I don't know. That's why. That's why it's between those two levels. I think I would usually do like a roof. But it's fine. I don't think there's a problem with it being set to the first floor other than the organizing. Is that enough of a problem for me? What makes this a site plan to Revit? Just a template? Or is it a regular plan? There is no template. Is it set up as a special view? Project North. Honestly, site plan should probably be True North, right? Do we not have a True North in here as an option? What? What? Huh? Wait, what? Okay, there is a true north option. So what the heck? Why is that not an option here? It is. You saw that, right? Right? Maybe I was scrolled weird, so it wasn't showing. I don't know. Anyway. All right. I'll come back to that, whether I want that to be true or Project North. I guess it depends sometimes on the project and the way that it will fit on the sheets. Yeah. Okay, I'll leave it as Project North for now. Okay. So these we don't need to do anything for. I'm just going to set the phasing to complete. We'll do the same thing here. Complete. We want all of these to be complete. Because there's nothing before it. So it doesn't really matter, I guess. But let's... Do these have templates? Yeah, let's take that off. We'll say none. Yeah, let's just do like a little scroll through here. Haha, found you again. What am I looking at? Oh yeah. We're looking right here to see if there's a template applied to any of these. Okay, now here, yup. Okay, this one we want roof. And again, we can go through the settings and see. I think sometimes the roof gets hidden in the architectural plan, and that's why it makes sense to have a separate roof plan. Let's see. Yeah, they're visible, so technically, I don't know if I see a reason to not. We'll see. We'll see. We'll leave it as roof plan for now. This is for second floor. Yeah, okay. And now here we've got roof plan. Let's do electrical. Electrical. I thought we did these already. Didn't we do these already? I'm losing my mind. Okay, proposed. We'll do... I'm so confused. I could have sworn we already set up all of these templates for these views. I must be losing my mind. Okay, not the... Actually, yeah, we'll do that one too, right? I think Revit just plays tricks on me sometimes. They think I'm not paying attention, but I am. Okay, framing plan, and I just saw that we have a foundation plan, so let's do that. I'm also going to rename these as well, and I'm going to... I think I want to set up presentation sheets and views for like schematic design. Usually schematic design packages will be on 11 by 17s, and then once we get into DD, we'll just use the full-size NCD sheets, the 22 by 34. And those schematic plans will have a different level of detailing than like a construction plan would. And actually, I've gotten that question a few times about do you need a separate template for different phases of your project based on level of detail? And the answer is no. That level of detail should be controlled with view templates. So instead of just having one architectural plan template, you can have an SD template, or if you do it by level of detail, you could say LOD 100, LOD 200, if you want to be really granular about it in that way. But for me, I really just need what I would call SD and CD. Because my design development templates or my design development drawings have the same level of detail as my construction drawings in terms of level of coarseness. So instead of like a schematic plan would have coarse level detail, and a construction plan would have medium. The only things that get fine for me are details and sometimes wall sections. It's very rare that I'll put fine level detail, but if I have like a 3" and 12, what is that scale? Yeah, 3 inches to a foot. If I'm like at that big of a scale, then I'll use fine detailing usually. But yeah, it's usually either just coarser or medium. So maybe we can do that now. And I also want to rename these. I like to have all the different types kind of grouped together. So I'll say, let's duplicate this. Let's do 1 SD plan floor I think that's all we need. So the 1 helps it bump up to the top. SD tells us this is the schematic design phase that we want to apply that template to. Plan, it's a plan, and floor. So then we'll have ceiling, we'll have area, we have electrical. So you'll see all of the plans, and then it's like, okay, floor, it's organized that way rather than all of the structural things together. However, for you, it might make sense to have the different disciplines together. But for me, I don't need that. So this will be 2 CD. Yeah, because I don't really need DD level control. It will just be the same as CD. Plan electrical. I don't love all the dashes between. It is organized. I'm going to keep it that way for now, though. So this is the I think we duplicated to make that one. So let's rename to CD plan floor. We also will need an enlarged plan. So I'll duplicate to CD plan enlarged. And that will be at twice the scale of the floor plan. Let's rename to CD plan roof to CD plan area. Interesting. We'll have to come back and refine all of these at some point. Okay. To CD plan sites. I don't know if you can hear my neighbor's dog, but they love to make an appearance in every video apparently now. To CD plan foundation. Did I spell that? Okay. I was debating whether or not to put an S in front of it or struct, STRUCT, to group with the framing plan. But we'll see where this falls. Perfect. It's right next to it anyway. So for me, when I was looking at this initially, it wasn't clear to me that these were all plan, even though it says that the filter that we have here is for plans. It wasn't immediately clear to me that these were all for floor plans, all floor plan templates. Now, I know exactly what these are, and I know exactly what phase to use it at. So for the earlier phase of the project, we're going to be using the SD, and I know it's right at the top, it says SD, it's very clear to me. So even though I don't really love all the dashes, I can tolerate it based on the benefit of having that kind of organization. So I can live with it. Let's do all and see what we've got in here. Okay. Elevation. I'm assuming this is an exterior elevation. Yeah, we're really gonna have to go through these and refine them. Okay, so we'll rename to, well, we can do one for SD. So we're going to do one for exterior. We're going to duplicate that. We're going to do one, nope, I lied. We're going to do two CD elevation exterior. And then we're going to duplicate one more time to CD. I kind of wish by default it would give you the name of the previous one that you duplicated from, because usually I want to name it something very similar. I get why they don't, but I also don't get why they don't. I don't know. So elevation, interior. And those will also typically be double scale, just like the enlarged plans. So usually my enlarged plans and my interior elevations go on the same sheet. And those will be medium. Yes, those will be medium. The enlarged, plan will be coarse. Okay, we'll go through all of those. Okay, let's rename. To CD, 3D. Usually I'll have a cover image, and I'm wondering if those settings are usually different from other 3D images I might put on other sheets. So there's usually on the cover sheet for the CD set, we'll have an exterior view, or if there's like an interesting section to the building, it'll be a section cut 3D view. That's more of like if it's an interior project. And then during the SD phase, I will typically show schematic exterior 3D views. And sometimes those are perspective 3D views, and sometimes they're axonometric. I think we'll just keep it like this for now and just keep it more open. And then if it needs to be refined, then it can be. What makes this presentation? Do we have shading or something? No. I think we're just gonna delete. We can't delete it? What? That's annoying. Show views. I was wondering if it would show me the views that have that applied, and that's maybe why I couldn't delete it. Maybe that's another thing that we need to go into the purge unused and delete there. Okay, so reflected ceiling plan. I don't think I've ever done an SD reflected ceiling plan, so we're just gonna rename that to CD plan reflected ceiling. So we're gonna do, this will be a building section. Again, for SD, I don't really ever do sections, so I think we're just gonna have a CD version. Section building. My eyes are, I have glasses on and I still can't see. All right, let's duplicate. Or maybe we just Well, I will duplicate because I really want to see if there's a way we can delete these. Duplicate to CD section wall. And those are usually like 3/4. And then we'll do to CD section detail. And those are usually the 3-inch. Okay. Site section. I haven't done a site section in so long. There might come a time where I need to do it again. Okay. To CD section sites. Okay. And then let's see if we can get rid of this. Purge unused. I don't know. I don't know. What view is this? Is there no... Okay. Yeah, we need to add in like reference planes so that we know where the center is. Maybe we do that real quick just so we're not getting disoriented. If you can't find an endpoint, even though it's... Oh, weird. They're not... They're not exactly there. So is this off center maybe? Or off axis? Ooh, it is. So I use the keyboard shortcut SE to snap to endpoint. But in doing that, because they're not directly opposite one another, they're not aligned, it put the line askew a little bit. Oh, let's Control S to save. That's funny. Okay, so let's align them first. AL on the keyboard to align. And let's see. There we go. The reason these look so huge on here is because we're on a site plan that's 120. But if we go to RH to reveal or hide the reveal hidden elements mode, let's go to interesting. It's weird that there's an offset now from the reference plane to the elevation marker. And I don't think that they're equally distanced from one another either. Let's see. Oh my gosh. I would have thought that whoever set this up would have done things to like precise measurements. Like that almost makes sense. But this one doesn't make sense to me. I guess sometimes buildings tend to be longer than they do wide, but it depends on how it's oriented. Well, I think that I want this to be Wait, really? Okay. Okay, I get it. So what is typically the depth of a building? Like on the larger side. Maybe it is like 60, 70. Okay, Revit. All right. All right, so we'll do 35 and then 35. Again, we're just setting this up once, so it's okay that we're taking a second to make sure that these are what we want them to be. And of course, these are going to change on different projects, but it's nice to kind of have a consistent initial setup. All right, let's delete all of those. And MV to move. This must seem so silly to be making these little micro movements. Why are there... Oh, right. Because we duplicated views. Why? Oh, because we aligned. That's why. That's why. Better. Okay. So now we're going to have weirdness over here too. Click the wrong one. All right. There we go. MV. Scooch it up there. Okay. Did we do all of them? That one and this one. Okay. All right. So now we can get rid of these. So those are unnecessary. And I kind of want to pin these just so that we have a consistent, like, this is the center of your project. And then actually let's undo deleting those reference planes. And let's add in a section box. View. Scope box. I always say section box and I mean scope box. I don't know why I'm being so like particular about alignments, but because I know this is going to change. I know for a fact this is going to change on most projects. So it's silly of me to be so particular, but it's okay. All right, so we'll get rid of that reference plane. Whoops. That one. That one. And that one. And then we have to repin these. And now what I want to do is I want to, for all of the new plans, actually before I do this, I want to duplicate these and make those working drawings. So duplicates, working. working. And the roof plan, it doesn't hurt to have a working drawing for that. So just like the existing working drawings, I don't want there to be a scope box confining the view range, or not the view range, but the extent of the view that we're able to see and work with. Let's group these under working. Make sure phasing is right. We want previous and new. I'm just checking the view templates because I do this where I start working on something and then I get distracted and I just go off on these tangents. So site, that should be foundation. I'm loving this setup. I'm loving it. Framing, framing, framing. Okay, site plan. Site plan. I'm so confused because I could have sworn that I set up these views already with view templates. I'm very confused. Okay. So these, why do these have templates? No template. Oh, right. Because those do. All right, now these, let's do reflected ceiling. Here we'll do, actually we don't really need one here until we create, because this is the default 3D view. We only want to put a template on one that's designated for something like the cover sheet. Okay, here we want these to have, what is this? Elevation, exterior. Not SD, we want CD. Right, okay. We'll do the same for these. CD. Perfect. And then now let's look at all of the phase filters. So these should be all complete. This should be complete. These should be complete. Okay, now these should be, yep, previous and demo. These should be either complete or previous and new. So complete by default, or the way that we have it set up in the managed phasing section, is that complete will show everything exactly the same. So whether it's new or existing, it will have the same graphics applied to them. So there's no differentiation between this is an existing wall, this is a new wall in terms of visuals. And then with show previous and new, that's where you'll see like the half-toned gray, maybe even a thinner line weight for the existing, and then the darker, heavier line weights for the new. I think I will still do previous and new to show a difference between existing and new. Let's do the same for all of these. Previous and new. Yeah, previous and new. This will be previous and demo. This will be, Whoa. This will be previous and new. These will be previous and new. These will also be previous and new. 3D. Yeah, let's do the same, previous and new. Show all is really interesting, especially in a 3D view, because you can see existing, demo, and new all at the same time, which can seem very chaotic, but it's also really interesting. And you can do fun things where you can make existing walls and components translucent, so you can just kind of see things a little bit easier. But we're not going to do that for this. Let's do previous and new. Previous and new. And then these will be previous and demo. And then the last thing I want to do before we head out is for all of the new construction drawings, other than the working drawings, I want to apply the scope box to the view. So scope box 1. Let's call this building overall. And then we could also have additional ones for like the whole site if we wanted to do that, if the site is very large and we have the whole thing modeled. We could also do smaller ones for maybe there's a huge building, but there's only a small addition for the project. Maybe there's just a small scope box around the scope of work or the area of work. Things like that, or like individual rooms or things like that. So this one will just have that be as building overall so that we know that's what that is. We'll do the same thing for this one. Scope box, building overall. So I don't think I would apply that for the sites, but I also don't think I want to add in one for the site either. So I'll just leave that as it is. Nothing for these. And I even like to do that for my elevations, and it will crop it to the depth of the view, but it makes it helpful to have the same box that you're working with to be able to align your views on sheets. So scope box overall. And yeah, annotation crops I usually will keep off. So let's make sure those are off. Perfect. Okay. We're still in the project browser. We are like 4 hours in and we haven't left the project browser. I mean, we have, but that's wild. I hope you're enjoying this. I think we made some really good progress today. I'm really happy with everything that got accomplished today. Let's save again. If you're still here, let's so years ago, probably like 8 years ago, I filmed I think like 3 videos maybe with a purple background, and I asked whoever made it to the end of that video or those videos to write purple in the comments. And I'm back here with a purple background again. And so I think it would be fun to kind of bring that back full circle. So if you've made it this far, type purple or put like a purple square or something purple in the comments so that I know that you made it this far. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, you're probably in the like 1% of people. that have made it to the end of this video. I hope that you're enjoying the slow process of going through all of this and kind of walking through the process with me of why things are being built the way that they are, and just the reasoning behind everything. I think that's helpful rather than just me saying, this is how you should do it, because this is such a unique thing to build that everybody's going to have their own preferences for things and their own needs for things. You might be working in construction, in commercial projects that have completely different standards and different types of views and whatever. But so that's why it doesn't make sense for me to just say, this is the way to do it, and this is the best way, and it's the only way, because it's not. The way that I'm building this is not going to work for everybody. But the idea is that you're understanding the process, you're understanding the types of things that you can edit and modify, how to do it, and getting some insight as to why I'm doing things a certain way, where you can say, oh, like, I get why you did it that way, but I'm going to do it this way because this makes sense for me. This makes sense for the types of projects I work on, or whatever it may be. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you do like it, feel free to hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and you've been watching this whole time, I think it's time for you to subscribe. Yeah, thank you for being here. I will see you in the next one. See you later.